guys, I am not sure. I think I'm recording. We're going to find out. I'm testing a new setup and I just realized everything's showing back upside down. Well, crap. Hold on. I'm not sure how to fix that. Well, hold on. I thought I had this figured out. Let me try moving the camera over here and doing. Okay, we're right side up. I think. Hold on. Well, I thought I had this fixed and then I just realized we're upside down. Okay, we're not upside down anymore. But the camera's a little bit in my way. This is a work in progress, trying to figure out how to record and do some lives and do some fun stuff here on my channel. Like showing not really tutorials, but just showing you kind of how I make stuff that I make. And I'm learning. So bear with me a little bit. Let me get a drink of my tea. Okay. I am going to make a wire wrapped pumpkin pendant. Similar to this one. It's not going to be exactly this one because I never do exactly the same thing twice. But this is kind of the goal. Okay. The beads I'm using a pumpkin. These are ceramic. This is a ceramic bead that I got. I think I got these at Michael's at the end of last season, even maybe the season before. I like getting things on closeout after Halloween. I also have a glass leaf bead here, which I think also was a Michael's purchase. And I have a skull bead. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to make it focus. Like I said, I'm trying to figure this out, so bear with me. Okay, and I'm using 18 gauge round wire. This is dead soft copper from Rio Grande. And this is dead soft 18 gauge half round wire, also from Rio Grande. Okay, and basically, if you can see the pumpkin here, basically he has a little bit of a half round wire down here. And then he comes up with little notches to help hold him in place. This is a bead, so it does have a hole through it. I didn't really use the hole that much in this guy, I don't think. I did it in another pendant, but I didn't really use the hole that much in this one. I might try using the hole a little bit. I didn't want to block the nose because that hole goes right through the nose and right through the mouth, and I didn't want to put it there. But you get another sip of tea. Yeah. Let's see if I can figure out how to show you guys this. I have some basic pliers. These are my wire cutters. I have some round pliers. I have some needle nose pliers, and I have some bent nose pliers. These are the ones I use most often. I also have some flathead pliers. I have some nylon jaw pliers, which I use occasionally. Probably don't use in this guy. And I have some flatheads somewhere in my bin of madness. There we go. I have some flatheads. Okay, that I probably will not be using. But let's see how this works. Okay. So yeah, let's see how this works. First thing is I'm going to cut about 3 or 4. This one used 3. I might use, you can see they had 3 wires. I might use actually a 4th wire on this one because this one was a little bit thin on the side. Like I said, I never make the same pendant twice. So, yeah, I'm trying to straighten this wire a little bit. This is a round wire. I do like to use square for base too, but in this case, I'm going to use, whoops, don't hit the camera. I'm going to use a round and about 10 inches or so, 10 to 12 inches. I like having more wire, longer wire than shorter, because I can always trim it later. But yeah. Let me actually measure this and tell you for sure. These are, I'm cutting them just about 12 inches. Okay, so I got 3. Let's do 4 on this one. This would have been nice to make the bail a little bit thicker on the last one I made too. Like I never make these exactly the same way. And this is the first season I'm using these pumpkin beads. I think I bought them the end of the last Halloween season. Okay, so I've got 4 18 gauge round wires cut. I'm just going to straighten them out a little bit. Okay, these don't have to be super, super straight. When you're dealing with square wire, they need to be straighter. These guys, not so much. Okay, I'm going to use, this is my favorite clamp that I just got at Lowe's. Just gonna clamp it in to keep them next to each other while I do the next part. And actually, nice thing about this clamp is it has holes on either side, so you can actually, I can get them together here, thread. Ouch. Might kill your finger, but you thread it through and still keep it nice. I use this mostly for weaving, but whenever I'm putting something together like this, it helps hold them. Okay, I'm going to start in basically at the center. Okay, I'm going to use a piece of half round wire to gather them together. So this is half round. I'm just going to cut a little piece off. And I do use the nylon jaw pliers on this one to make sure that it's nice and flat. And I don't know if you can see this on camera, but one side is flat and the other side is domed. That's why it's called half round. And it's sometimes hard to tell the difference, but you can see this side is wider, that's the bottom, and this side is the top. Okay, so I'm just going to, not knock all my beads off. I'm going to put this aside for now, so I don't need those. Okay. I'm going to bring it down here and just wrap that over. Use my needle nose pliers and flatten it out. And I don't worry too much about getting the first couple perfect because I will probably cut off the first couple. Okay, just because it's easier, once you get them going, it's easier to get them nice and straight. Okay, and I'm just use my nylon jaws and flatten it. You see how they tend to go crooked a little bit when you first start it. That's why I tend to cut off the first one. And I'm just going to wrap it around a few times like that. And then flatten. And push them together and flatten. So you want it to try to make it nice and neat, or as neat as you can. I'm going to then unturn, take off that a little bit. Where'd my thing go? And cut it in the back. This is going to be on the inside, so you won't see that. I'm trying not to knock into the camera. This is a learning process, so bear with me. I'm going to wrap it a couple more times. Just to give them a nice base to sit on. I'm trying to do this live, and YouTube said I was live, so hopefully I am. I have found for myself if I do videos or try to record myself doing a video, I don't tend to post it afterwards because I talk myself out of it thinking, oh, I just sound stupid, or my voice doesn't sound stupid, or I make too many mistakes or whatever. So I'm going to try to do this live. So there is a chance this pendant won't work out, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Let's see. Just going to bring him down a little bit more. And then that last one, I'm going to give him a turn. going to cut it off again in the back. Like that. And give it a final little crimp and push together. Okay. Now that those are together, I don't need the clamp anymore. Okay, you can see it's about in the center of the wires, which is what I wanted. It gives me the most room to work with. So I'm going to bend the center a little bit into a curve. You see the pumpkin is curved. Oops, there's no beads stuck there that I don't want. There you go. I'm going to give it a gentle curve, trying to match the curve of the bead. Like that. And kind of work the wires around them a little bit. Come on. Just trying to get a nice gentle curve. It's a little tricky. And sometimes I have to work on it a little bit here and there. Okay. But you can see he's pretty much in the curve. I can adjust it some later. I'm not stressing too much about this. One of the things about wire wrapping or making jewelry in general is you need to just kind of trust the process and don't stress over it at any particular time. And I honestly, I don't know if anyone's watching this, and I don't know where to see. Oh, somebody did say, only real pink. Thank you. I just noticed where the chat shows up on the YouTube Live. I haven't done a lot of these, and they've changed things since I last tried to do one. So bear with me. Whoops, I'm back here. And I drop things, of course. And ignore the dirty mat. I've got actually a new mat coming, so it won't be so dirty in the next videos. This is the one that sits underneath my keyboard on my desk, and it tends to get dirty. All right, so I've got him wrapped around like that. Now, the first thing I try to do is I try to figure out how I'm going to secure the stone, or in this case, the ceramic bead, in place. So I'm going to work on notching him a little bit. What I'm going to do is actually, where's my little plier? Needle nose. I'm always losing things. Okay, on the back section of the wire, I'm just going to grab that fourth wire, the top wire, and kink it just a little bit up like that. And then I'm going to kink it back the other way. Kink it forward, come up a little bit, and push it back. That makes a little bit, you can see that, makes a little bit of a bend right there. And that little lip is going to catch the bottom of the stone, or in this case, the bead, so it will stay against the back. I try not to cover my backs too much. I like to try to make my backs as neat as the front. And so I'm going to kink it forward, come up just a little bit, and pull it back. It's just that little bend. Okay, hopefully you can see it. Looks like you can see it. Okay, so then when I pop that back in, I need to readjust the bend a little bit there. It is a little bit of finicky. You have to play with it back and forth until you get it the way you like it. Okay, you can see it's going to catch the stone. If I try to push it, it's not going to push forward. It's going to keep the stone, or like I said, in this case, the bead in place. I'm going to bend this back just a little bit because the curve is a little bit too much in the bottom. And this part is just a matter of playing with the wire and getting it into position that you want it. There we go. Okay. In the front, On this one, I did the same kink on both sides. If you can see, there's a kink there, there's a kink there that holds both of them. I'm going to try, okay, that's the back. Sometimes my fingers are just a little too big for this. There we go. All right. Now what I'm going to want to do is do a similar thing with the front, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve it around like a little tendril for the plot. I'm actually going to drop the stone for a minute, and I'm just going to bring this front wire into a bend like that. I'm just going to start making a little tendril like around here on the front, and that's going to hold the stone on the front side and make it a little decorative at the same time. I don't want them to be totally symmetrical because the pumpkin isn't symmetrical. So this side, I think I'm going to do the same kind of kink I did on the other one, like that. There we go. And we got it going. Okay. Now the next thing I need to worry about, I'm going to make another, I think I'm going to make another curve with this guy. I never make these the same. I always change it up and experiment. I'm going to make it a little bit curly, an opposite one like that. Okay. Great thing about these is they don't need to be symmetrical. You can really play with it and just let the wire shape itself however you like it. Okay, now the next thing I need to do is join it at the top. You can see there's a couple little catches. These are half wires like I did at the bottom. I'm going to do them on the sides here to keep the sides together. I'm going to actually slip the wire out, or slip the bead out. I'm going to bring this guy back into alignment with his other wires, like that. Come on. Okay, I'm going to take another piece. I'm going to grab two smaller pieces of half round. Come here. One, two. I only real pink. Mine would be all sorts of bent. It happens. That's why the nylon jaw pliers are very helpful. When I first started, I had a heck of a time telling the back from the front on half round wire, and I was constantly twisting it the wrong way and having all kinds of issues. And even now, it's still hard. I have some thinner gauge half round wire that's almost impossible for me to tell from the flat side. This is 18 gauge, so it's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to come here. Do the same thing I did at the bottom and just wrap this half round around. I'm going to bend it a little bit like that just to start it. Bend it together. This is going to help me shape into the bail. And ignore my horrible fingernails. When you do wire wrap, you cannot have good nails. Let me tell you, this does not work. Squeeze that together a little bit more. Bring it down. Wrap it around. I'm also using copper wire, so I don't have to worry so much about wasting wire. So when I use sterling silver, especially with the cost of sterling silver these days, I try to be a little bit more precise with my cuts and try to have less waste. So if you're starting out wire wrapping, definitely copper wire is your friend. Bare copper wire, you want to look for half round. You want to look for dead soft because it's much easier to manipulate. And when I first started, I got sample packs on Amazon. You can get sample packs for pretty dang cheap. Might give you like 5 or 6 feet or 10 feet per package, which is plenty to get you started and experiment with. And then once you figure out what sizes you like to work with, what gauges, what shapes work best for you, you can order bigger spools. I have some giant spools and I have some smaller ones. But I found 18 gauge works well for me for a lot of different pendants. There we go. Got that nicely tucked in. I'm going to give it an extra squish down just to make sure it stays in place. Okay. And you don't have to worry about it too much being in the exact position because it will slide. You can see I'm pushing it more down towards, there we go. It slides down. It will slide a little bit. So you can adjust it after you get everything in place. So I'm going to get these guys out of the way. Do the same thing on this other side. We're going to put the other piece of half round. Sorry about that. Okay, let's get the other side of half round here. And I'm just going to bend it down a little bit to start. Back up here. Okay, they're a little bit, they're not laying exactly flush. I'm going to give it a little squeeze. There we go. Use copper too, Only King. That's great. And like I said, copper is definitely more forgiving. I also do use sterling silver and I do stainless steel. Stainless steel is very finicky. It's much springier, so it's much harder to work with. How many loops did I have on this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. I try to put the same number on each side. But anyway, stainless steel is a lot springier and it's harder to shape, especially with just your fingers. You need to really make sure you use tools. I might do a stainless steel tutorial, or this isn't really a tutorial. I just wanted to kind of wrap something. I figured I'd try to show it at the same time. So I guess you could say it's a tutorial. But yeah, I'm just trying to build some content for my channel, trying to learn YouTube a little bit better. You know, all that kind of good fun stuff. This pendant, by the way, is available on my Etsy shop, which it's Majestic Dragonfly Art. I will try to put a link into the description. I should have done that before I started, forgot. But it's Majestic Dragonfly Art at .etsy.com. Will get you to my store. I have pumpkins and witches' brooms and a bunch of other non-seasonal pendants. All right, so let's see how this guy is fitting in here now. He should. Okay, I need to rebend this wire. See, he got bent out a little side that way. He needs to come back in to hold the stone in place. So let me just grab him, bring him forward a little bit. Sometimes it's difficult to get just the top wire and not all 4 of them. I don't want to mess. There we go. Got it. Okay. Let's pop him in place. See how he's doing. There we go. Okay, I need to adjust the back one a little bit too because it's not holding. This is a lot of finicky work, what my mother used to say. Just going back and forth a little bit, fine-tuning, tweaking here, tweaking there, getting it until you just like the way everything is laying and is situated. I want to bring this a little bit more even, so I'm going to bring this up. Okay, it's starting to look like something. And I've got a little bit of twisting going on, so I'm going to bring these guys back out. Okay, now I need to bring it up so I can start making the bail and hold the top. And this is a little bit finicky again, but this one I'm not doing a lot of weaving on. I'll probably do another video at some point showing more weaving. This one is just very simple. Mainly I wanted to test my camera setup and the live setup and make sure everything worked well. And figured I'd show a pumpkin at the same time because these are fun. So just, there we go. Okay, he's fitting pretty well. So I'm going to bring these wires up to the center, and I'm going to hold it and bend it back. And this takes a little bit, again, a finesse, a trial and error. And I'm going to bring it, trying to keep the curve of the pumpkin. Sometimes you need to put 3 hands. But there we go. Let's see. We can back up. It's off kilter a little bit there. There we go. He's fitting fairly well in there. Okay. It's a little bit cockeyed. Let me bring him that way back a little bit. Okay, now on this one I did a very simple, the same half round technique on the veil, and I think I'm going to do a similar thing here. First thing I like to do is to trap the stone completely before I do the veil. So I'm going to bring my front wire around. This is only a temporary wrap. My front 2 wires, these are going to be my decorative wires in the front that form all the little vines. I'm going to just bring them around that way to catch everything. And right now, and then test to make sure he's staying in nice and straight. He is. He's staying in nice and securely. Okay, so there's part 1. It's great because I need to wire wrap a labradorite. I love labradorite. That's one of my favorite stones. Okay, and I will put the link. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to readjust my screen a little bit because it's kind of hard to read over there. I'll figure this out. Like I said, I'll make it work a little bit better. But he's starting to come together. Now, one of the things I didn't like about this one so much is I wanted the bail to be a little bit wider. That's why I used an extra wire this time. I'm going to bring these 4 wires. Let me try to make sure I have the right ones. The backmost wires I'm also going to bend out of the way right now. Okay, so that gives me 4 wires in the center there, which will make a little bit thicker of a veil, which will be nice. Okay, and again, this is a little bit finicky. Oops, I just knocked my pumpkin out. He'll be totally secure by the time we're done. So I'm going to bring, there we go. I'm trying to straighten these out so that they're laying nice together. Come on. If I was weaving these, I could do it a little bit differently, but I'm going to wrap it. So, okay, get back in there, Mr. Pumpkin. And let's see now. No, George. Okay, one of my cats is going to try to. George, you just got into trouble for knocking something off my desk, and now you're going to come back over here anyway. Hang on a minute. Oh, you're going to mess everything up, aren't you? George. Hang on. Over there. All right. She knocked off all my beads. We'll worry about that later. Stay. All right. Let me try this again without a cat in the way. All right. Where am I? The front. No. Get your butt out of here. Normally, I don't allow cats in my art studio, but my best friend moved back in with me, and George is her cat, and she's not fixed. So we're keeping her isolated from my boys. Georgie's almost 20 years old, so she's too old to have kittens. We don't want her to have kittens. She's too old to get fixed. The vet wouldn't do it. So yeah, so she's in here now, driving me crazy sometimes. I'm getting fur everywhere. All right, let's try. Okay, Pumpkin, I'm just going to move out of the way for right now. I'll re-secure him later. All right, let me get another piece of half round. This is going to be a longer piece because I want to wrap them all around. Okay, where's mine? Straighten him out, flatten him out, make sure he's not twisted. The easiest way to do that is just to pull it through your nylon jaw pliers so it doesn't scratch. And just gently pull it through like that. I don't know if you can see it untwisting itself and flattening out, but it works pretty well. There we go. And let me see, boom, boom, boom. Which side is which? Okay, that's my flat side. I'm going to tuck again, start a bend. I actually usually start the bend down inside the pendant a little bit, which is a little tricky. It's like the camera's picking things up better than I thought it would. I kind of pop it down inside like that. I don't know if you can see that. Yes. Okay. Just to give me some place to hold it and anchor it as I start wrapping it. Okay, I'm going to start wrapping this guy slowly. Half round wire takes a little bit of practice too, because you want to make sure you're keeping it always flat. You don't want to twist it as you're going. In general, with wire wrap, you don't want to twist as you go. You just want to pull it around the other wire. If that makes sense. If that makes sense. If you guys have any questions, please, I'm trying to look at the chat now and then. So please ask away. I'll be happy to answer. I'm not a total expert, but I'm learning. I've been wire wrapping now for about 3 years, and I also do metalsmith soldering. That's newer. I've been doing that now for about a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. So there is a video on my YouTube showing my first soldered piece that I made when I was experimenting with trying to do video the first time. So yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to not be too chatty. There we go. And this is just a matter of the same thing that we did on the side and the bottom. Pushing it together, crimping it down, trying to get it nice and snug to the base wires. I'm just going to, get my wire caught on the camera. I'm just going to continue doing that. And occasionally I re-flatten this wire out. There we go. Yeah, soldering is a different animal. I only use a butane torch because, quite frankly, the big acetylene and oxygen torches kind of scare me still. It took me probably a couple months to get over my fear of the torch in general. I have a soldering station in my other corner of my room here in my art studio. I'm actually at my desk right now on my side of my desk. I tried doing all my wire wrapping at the jeweler's bench, and it just didn't work so well. I tend to wrap at my desk. So, yeah. So that's why I kind of decided, well, maybe I can set up a camera set up here and show some things now and then. So there we go. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going little bit by little bit. It's the same way I did on this one, you can see. This one is definitely a little bit wider. I'm just going to keep pulling it. You want to make it snug, but you don't want to make it too tight, if that makes sense. When you're doing something like this with it just wrapping the wire around, it's not as critical. When you're doing a weave, which I don't have any weaves right now to show you, but when you're doing something like a weave, the tension is really important. You have to make sure you're very, very careful you don't pull it too much or too loose. Most beginners make the mistake of making it too loose. Oops, come back here. All right. I used to stress too about trying to make everything absolutely perfect and symmetrical, and it's a handmade piece, so it's not going to be 100% perfect. I think that's the beauty of handmade jewelry, personally. It's not perfect, but I try to make it as good as I can and as perfect as I can. See, that one went out a little bit. I'm not stressing about it because you'll probably not even notice it on the final piece. Once I get all the little curlicues and pretty little pieces in there. Okay, I'm gonna make this guy a little bit longer. I try to make the bail proportional to whatever I'm wrapping the stone. You know, you don't want it, I don't like a giant bail, but you gotta give yourself some room to add some flourishes. And there are some pieces I made that are a little bit too small a bail. I mean, it's all over the place. It's whatever you like. It's the other thing I like about wire wrapping. It's all subject to your interpretation. I find when you're comfortable, the projects turn out better. Yep. Yep, that's very true. And like I said, this is when I end up wire wrapping a lot. I have my ArtStation computer here has 2 monitors, so I tend to watch something on TV on one monitor while I'm wire wrapping or working or doing something else. So it just worked out better for me this way. I can also watch tutorials. When I first started wire wrapping, I watched a lot of tutorials. I don't really do tutorials too much anymore because I tend to do my own thing more. I learned the basics from tutorials, and then I just went out on my own. And that worked for me. So it's just a matter of practice and trying different things and figuring out what you like. Okay, I'm at the end of that. Is that one? I think that's good enough. Okay, I think that's a good length. All right, now I want to pull it over. I'm going to bring it forward a little bit. Then I'm going to just wrap it over the handle, one of my pliers, just to get a nice shape. You can also use a pencil or something. Usually I just grab one of my pliers because they're there. And bend it back. Okay. This is kind of where you get a spider web going because there's so many wires and trying to figure out what to do with what. Okay. And there is the basics of the bail. I'm going to just flatten it out a little bit, trying to make it nice and straight, nice and even. Now, I just realized too, since I did that half round coming through, I might be able to put it in the bead hole. What bead? I'm using 18 gauge, both 18 gauge round wire. These are 18 gauge round, and this is 18 gauge half round. That's I have just about every kind of wire you can imagine. But I tend to like 18 gauge for pendants because it's not too bulky to work with and it bends nicely. But it holds its shape well so it doesn't snag on clothing and things. I'm trying to flatten this bottom out a little bit. There he goes. There he goes. All right, now comes the fun part. Kind of, because now it's a matter of just figuring out. Oh, wait a minute, he's popping out a little bit up there. Let me bring this back a little bit. Now it's a matter of getting artistic. There we go. With the rest of the wires. What am I going to do with them? Where am I going to put them? I'm probably going to try to do a leaf and, whoops, not on camera, leaf and skull like I did on this guy, but I might do it a little bit different. Let's see how it works. First thing I need to do is secure the bail in the back. Okay, I'm getting off camera a little bit. Let me try that again. You can see I need to connect these two together so it's nicely open. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. And I do this differently every single time. There's no really right or wrong to doing this. You just have to figure out what works for you. I'm going to cross that one over that way and this one over this way. And I'm going to flatten that bail a little bit closer. Okay, so now I've got 5 wires in the back. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, 5 wires in the back, and I've got these 3 sticking straight out that I don't know what I'm going to do with yet. Maybe I'll do a little bit of weaving. Nah. I think I'll just do it curly cues. I'm trying to get better at the curls and the twists because it wasn't something I did that much. I'm trying to improve on that. So let's see. If I put back here. Oh, Georgie knocked my beads down. I don't know where my leaf bead went. Hold on a minute. Be right back. Let me see if I can find the beads that she knocked down. Where'd they go? So I'm almost out of those little leaves. I'll go to the other side of my desk. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? One day if you drop something, it tends to go all kinds of places you never expect. Let me see if I have another one of those. Hang on that. Oh, come on. Maybe one. Oh, I have one. Yay. All right. Okay. So I'll find that other one later. At least I have one left. And I do have more skulls. These are the skull beads. These are from Mike. Like I said, I think I got these at Michael's last year on clearance. Whoops. And they're just these little ceramic skulls. They're cute. There are 2 strands of them. Looks like I need to cut. Where'd my scissors go? All right. Just cut that knot off. So I can get one off of there. Okay. Or a couple off of there. There we go. All right. Let's try this again. Yeah, the curls, like I said, I'm still getting used to doing the curls. Trying to get them nice and smooth. One of the problems I have is trying to get nice, smooth curves because I tend to fiddle with it too much. And the curls work better when you just do it and go with it and not try to adjust it endlessly, is what I've discovered. Get some tea. All right. I think I'm going to put this guy out on this side. The nice things about the 18 gauge wire too is usually the beads will fit it. There we go. So I can slide this guy right down on the bead. Oh, that one I did that way. Okay, we're going to do this one a little bit differently. This one I actually soldered. I used my soldering iron and I actually made a little end, not soldering iron, I used my butane torch and made a little ball at the end and then put the bead on it that way. This one I'm doing a little bit differently just because. I don't have a camera over there to even show you that. So I'll show that another time. Come on, get over there. Try to tuck that guy down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring him down, give him a little curl at the end. Here's my round nose pliers. Here we go. The round nose pliers you can use to make little curls with. I'm going to cut the end of this guy off, make him a little bit shorter. Put that in my scrap bin. One of the nice things about soldering too is I can use up my scrap in soldering projects, so nothing goes to waste, especially for sterling silver, which is so dang expensive. Just bring that around a little bit. Here he goes. A little bit, trying to make it look a little organic. There's just a little tendril sticking out down there. Okay. I use a screwdriver to wrap around for curls. That's a good idea too. I like my little round nose pliers. And it's fine, or just flattening it against the piece, like using my finger and just twisting that way works for me. So the thing with them is you can't go back and readjust it a lot, because the more you twiddle with it, the more you end up with little kinks in the wire, and it ruins the smooth shape of it. Okay, one thing I did on this one that I did almost at the end was I did a little corkscrew. I don't know if you can see that right there. And I really like the way that came out, so I need to do that again. I need to do that again because I really like the way that came out. And what I did, how did I do that? I wrapped it around something thin. What did I use? I can try to remember now. Yeah, I'm just going to give this guy a few little twists around, I think this way. Bring him off. I don't know. One of the nice things about this is there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just whatever works and looks good. And with these guys, I like to twist one way and then I'll go back the other way. Again, so it looks a little bit more organic. It doesn't look planned. Oops. Okay, that was a little bit too much. And also, there it is. You can also use your pliers to flatten that curve down a little bit because we want it to stay against the pendant. You don't want it to go off too much on its own. There we go. I'm going to bring that back. Okay, liking it kind of so far. I'm going to bring this guy, just curl him back up, and I'm going to trim him off. Okay. Here's one little side. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put, if I want to put these little cutie little skulls in here. I could tuck one right in there maybe. Oops, come back here. My fingers are sometimes too big. Tuck him right in there maybe. That'd be cute. Oh, I'm off camera. That would be cute, I think. So I'm going to, okay, this wire I'm going to twist back behind, bring it forward to help tie off the bail. Where's my pliers? Pull it up. There we go. And let's see. Bring him forward this way a little bit, maybe. Put a little skull bead on. Come on. Let me flatten this out so I can get the skull bead on. Yeah, aren't those leaves pretty? I need to find some more of those because I think I only have like 2 left. I bought those a couple seasons ago. They're glass. I don't like doing plastic as much. I like doing ceramic or natural stone or glass more than anything else. Here he is. Bring him back this way. Half of this is just trying to figure out how to neatly secure and hide wires so it doesn't look like a science project gone wrong. Here he is. Let me see if I can. Where's my needle nose? I'm always losing tools. There we go. Just bring this guy down a little bit so we splatter against. There he goes. That's kind of cute. I'm liking how he's looking so far. I don't want to hide too much of the stone, or in this case, the pumpkin. So I want to just keep maneuvering these guys around a little bit. There we go. Okay. I need to work on the back some. I've got quite a few wires back here yet. I think I'm going to twist this guy. Let me see. Where's my, cut him a little shorter. Twist this guy around. A little curly Q. There we go. Tucks him in nicely and it holds the skull and the leaf in place too. So double duty. Do you make your own ceramic leaves? No, I don't. I wish I did. These are all glass. Like I said, these are glass beads. I don't know how to make ceramic pieces. I would. My former mother-in-law, rest her soul, she used to teach ceramics, and she taught me very little about ceramics. Unfortunately, before she died, I wish I learned more. She actually used to run the ceramic store and classes at the Navy base here in Orlando. And make it look easy. Thank you. It's not always easy, and I have lots of pieces, failed pieces that would definitely tell you it's not always easy. Okay, these guys, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with. Let's see, I've got those guys and I've got this guy yet to do something with. This guy I think I'm going to wrap around here just to tighten the veil a little bit. And I don't know what's dinging on my phone now and then. Oh, I think somebody's, ignore that. I think that's on Facebook. Let's see if I can tuck him. Okay, he doesn't want to tuck in under there. Fine. All right, let's do this. Let's cut this guy shorter. I've got a little bit too many wires going on here. I don't want to totally cover the face of the pumpkin. So let me see if I can tuck him back underneath into the veil. Like that. Let me mute my Facebook tab, then you won't hear that. Mute tab. There we go. All right. Let's see if I can tuck that down. Make sure nothing's poking out. I don't want anything to snag. The final step of this is going to be locking down these little curly cues, which I'll show you when I get that point. I want to do something on the back so the back doesn't look so plain. So I think I'm going to bring this guy. Let's bring this back into a little curly Q curve. I always try to make my backs look neat. And that's one of the hardest parts of wire wrapping, honestly, is trying to keep your backs from getting totally insane. Because you end up with so many wires, especially if you do a more complex weave piece. What I can do is after I finish this guy, for the most part, I will show you some of the other pieces that I've done. Because I kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay, let's twist. Here's my round nose. I'm always losing tools. Let me make this a little shorter. And around, terminate it right there. Little lines and stuff are never really symmetrical. They just kind of do their own thing. And this guy, maybe I'll bring down and back a little bit more. Bring him down against here. And tie him off. Let's see. Like that. Maybe I should do an angel design. I haven't tried doing an angel yet. I honestly just started doing seasonal designs. Last Halloween I did a couple pumpkins and I did a couple witches' brooms. But really I've only recently gotten to the point where I feel more confident in selling my pieces. So I'm trying to get better at that. Okay, last two wires I try to figure out what to do with. I don't really want to wrap them all the way. I like the asymmetrical thing. This kind of balances that a little bit. Maybe I'll just bring him, get you out of the way a minute. Bring him this way. And then wrap him up. Try and just make him a little bit loopy. Technical term, loopy. Okay, where'd my wire cutters go? Snip there. And snip there. I haven't really tried doing an angel. I'll try to do I gotta think about that. My mom used to collect angels, so I made a lot of angels in different media before, but I've never tried wire wrapping one. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's a little bit different. I didn't want another really long piece, so that works. Okay, there's the front, and there's the back. And the last part of this to do this, which I'll show you a little bit of it, and I'll do the rest of it after I end the screen. Let me get my big wire. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Hold on a minute. There we go. And this is 28 gauge wire. It's 28 gauge round. This is what I use to what's called tying off the wire. And what that does is prevents this from being bent out. You know, if it's snagged on clothing, it could get bent when somebody's wearing it. So what I want to do is connect all my little parts that could get snagged. I want to connect them against the pendant. And that takes a little bit of finagling. That's why I'll show you a little bit of it, but then I'll do the rest of it off camera probably, just because it gets to be a pain in the butt. All right, I'm going to pull that up a little bit so I have something to connect it to. I'm going to take a piece of this very fine wire. So this is 28 gauge. And I'm just going to try to connect it underneath the frame. Up there. and then wrap it around and connect that curly cue. So it ties it down to itself, basically. And I try to make this as invisible as I can. I just realized I am wearing my regular glasses and not my super magnifying glasses. No wonder I'm having problems seeing this a little bit. Where's my magnifying glasses? That are hiding. Oh, wait. Found them. Okay, hang on. I am 61. Oh, that's so much better. And I need new reading glasses. So, yeah, definitely better when you have the right when you have high magnification glasses on. All right. I can actually see the little wire. All right. Let me, come on, try to get him in a line like that so that it stays in place and it can't pull itself away from the body of the pendant. Yeah, this is 28 gauge round wire. It's the thinner the wire, the more invisible your weave is going to be. That's why I like using it for things like this, which I really don't want to show that much. If it's a weave that I'm doing that I really want the design to really stand out, I use a finer or I use a larger wire, like 26 or even 24 gauge. But for things like this where I just want to tuck this down and make sure it stays, I don't want it to stand out that much. I want the swirl to stand out, not the wire. Okay, so once I get a couple, I don't know if you can even see that. Come on, camera, focus. Focus. Trying to get the focus. There's a few, I put a few little wraps right there, wrapping the swirl to the base wire. And once I get that all tucked under, this is actually a trick I learned on a tutorial. I wish I could know, or I remembered whose tutorial so I could tell you. But if you grip the wire close to, this only works for fine wires or thin wires, but if you grip it close to where it's connected and you just spin it like this, it breaks off nice and cleanly, which is a lot easier than trying to get your wire cutters in there. And again, I'm just going to give the other end, do the same thing, spin it, spin it, spin it, spin it, break. There it is. And there's no little pokey, sharp bits sticking out, which is nice. And so the swirl, I'm going to readjust the swirl just a little bit so it doesn't, there we go. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on these other swirls, but I'm not really going to show you that right now because it takes a little bit too long. But I'm just going to tie that to the end and tie that to the side and tie them all together. But there is basically the finished piece. This piece is oxidized, so it makes it have that antique look, which I will do with this one later. I dip it in what's called liver of sulfur, which stinks, by the way. And then we put it in baking soda and water to stop the oxidation, and then I polish it off so I can remove some of the black. Okay, I'm going to switch back to my reading glasses so I can actually read the comments. And thank you. That's what my son, this isn't really a tutorial, but I just wanted to give a little bit of info as I was going. And let me guys show you some of the other pieces that I've done so you get an idea of variety. This is my tray of everything for sale. This is a little pumpkin using an agate instead of the pumpkin bead. Again, the same kind of swirl techniques. And then I have, this is my much more elaborate piece with trees and beads and coils. And this one was kind of a sampler piece. I was trying all different kinds of techniques in one piece. And it's a big piece. I don't know if I'll ever sell it, but you know, it was a fun learning experience. Let me show you. This is another weave piece. You can see the weave wire. There we go. Hey, it's focused on there. This little part is hammered just to make it flatter. I also I have a little copper accent bead in that one. And again, I try to keep the backs simple and clean if I can. This is another very woven piece. Come on, camera. There we go, with the tree of life in the center. This one I did a couple months ago. And this uses a wider, this one uses, I think this was 24 gauge, so that the weave actually shows off more when it's polished. And this is a much finer wire because I wanted it to be there, but not as prominent, if that makes sense. I'm trying to explain. But anyway, so yeah, these are there's another one that is a weave pattern with sea glass and pearl. I've also been doing a lot of witch's brooms this season. This is one I did. Come on, focus camera. Come on, there we go. I think with one of the little small beads again. I like doing those little witch's brooms. Those are fun. So anyway, that's just some pieces that I thought I'd show you. This is more of a weave. A lot of weave. Come on. There we go. Focus. Thank you. I will make sure I link onto the store as I end the video. I'm going to go ahead and end. And I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Hope that you like it. And I will try to do more. Thanks for staying with me as I was trying to figure this out. Have a great day. Now I gotta figure out how to end this thing. End stream.